I know it's only play day one, but as we said, it's a tall order for them to get towards SI here. They've really got to put on a show this stage. And based on today, that's going to be a real tough climb.
Yeah, I think we've just seen, you know, in one match, the big difference that can come from changing two players. G2 done well, Fnatic, it's not gone so well, and it's just been a really rough start for them.
Absolutely. I mean, again, to give it full credit to G2 as well, that was really an excellent game by them. Yeah. A lot of question marks, biggest org that we've got in Siege, for example, 2 changes coming in, not quite achieving former glory. There'll always be question marks around them. But at least based on that starting showing, I think things are looking pretty good for them. I think we should go over to the desk though, Tim, so I'm very keen to hear if Leo has changed his opinion on Blaz at all, or if he'll say, you know what, give it a couple more days, and then we'll see. So let's throw over to the desk now.
There's an ace. Thank you very much, you sexy bastards. We have just seen our third matchup done and dusted. Consulate, G2 absolutely flying. They said it was levels above confidence there, fresh. And it was like G2 showed it, that dominance, that level of dominance right from the get-go.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the first 2 rounds, the start that G2 had. They went out with one intention, and that intention was to shell shock the shit out of Fnatic. And that's exactly what they did. The run-outs, the jump-outs, the aggression. And what did Fnatic get in the first 2 rounds? It was just Deepek there picking up exit frags. That was the only thing that they got. G2 then reined it back in. They played close, they played tight, they played together. They really had Fnatic guessing the whole time on their defenses, and they got a 5-1 Consulate split. After that, it was really only a matter of time, because we know G2 are good at attacking Consulate. This one wasn't just a game 1. This was utter domination by G2, and it all happened in the mental of those first 2 rounds.
And Doki still loves it. Look, he just absolutely loves it. Leo, I'm sorry, I've had to cut you off here because there's something wrong with your mic. I think maybe Fresh blew a fuse when he said shell shock the shit out of them.
Yeah, I think maybe I did,
Yeah, but just to pick up on the dominance piece there, they just, like, Fnatic really looked lost. They couldn't ever really find their footing, could they, Fresh?
Yeah, no, I had hopes. I won't say high hopes for the Fnatic roster, but I had hopes for them. And the one thing that I will say out of them is that they looked lost. They looked like they were misreading in the attacks and the defenses. They looked like they didn't control any of the pace, whether they were attacking or defending. They tried to play shields. It didn't work. We saw Leon die on a Blitz. We saw Leon die on a Monty. Opening deaths, just nothing went right. That was ultimately a horrible, horrible day for them.
Leo, we can hear you now, so tell me what you thought about G2.
Yeah, no, I was just saying in general, like, you could see that gameplay and that playstyle coming in just in the ban phase. Who bans Dokkaebi? A team that wants to be so aggressive that you don't find them when they roam. And that's something exactly that happened. Now, about what you were saying about Fnatic bringing shields, they were trying to find a problem. They could not get into the building, so they brought shields. And I would argue that at some point it even worked. Round 5, they bring Monty, they're in a 5v3 position, and they should expect G2 to get aggressive. They should punish that. And they don't. Once again, they let their teammates down, and they lose a 5v3. And that was something so consistent that disappointed me is the lack of direction, the lack of confidence that we saw from them, and then the lack of understanding. We need to be able to punish the aggression here.
Back to the positives, Lyra. First game in EUL, signed a few months back. Left you feeling super impressed.
Man, we were thinking about pressure before. We were saying that a young player like this, joining a big emblem like G2, it must be a lot for him. Evan coming from Brazil. And I was so impressed by him. He was so confident in the gunfights that he was taking. I remember him at the beginning on defense with this boss G, just picking everyone from outside. Overall, super impressive gameplay from here, and I can't wait to see more from him, to be honest.
Thank you very much, Leo. Good point there. Lyra looking strong in his first game here on Playday 1 at EUL. We're standing by now, me and Fresh, with this guy. Doki joins us live on the show. Doki. You scared yourself? It's like looking in the... It's like when you first step in front of a mirror in the morning when you're brushing your teeth. No, Doki, welcome to the show, mate. It's good to have you here. That felt pretty easy for you guys.
Yeah, it was easy. Yeah, don't know what they're doing. Picking our best map. Very weird. Very weird.
Doki, we spoke earlier, and you said to me that you felt Fnatic was a good game for you guys to go against first. How come you felt that?
I don't know. I just think like they also have new players in the roster, right? I think they are definitely more nervous players in their roster than us. Like you highlighted Lyra saying like he's a new star and a lot of pressure on him. The guy doesn't care. He's playing Rocket League to warm up for his EUL game. Like he doesn't care. He's just good at the game and he loves playing the game. So it's like there's no pressure for him. He's just playing. So I think they had a lot of pressure, and I like to play against that, and we're better than Fnatic. So
I might need to get Lawyer in my stack. But then, sorry, just a quick one. Is that why you then played the way that you did in the first couple of rounds? Is that why there was the Boss G spawn peak? Is that why there was the run out from Lawyer in the very first round?
I mean, we practiced Fnatic like a little bit, and they were playing that way, aggressive in scrims. I think we practiced them with a slightly different roster of theirs, but still the core of the same team. So they were playing like that, and we said, you know what, just throw it right back at them. Like, let's see what they can do to deal with it. So
a new, different iteration of G2. How does this rank with the ones you've been a part of, Doki, and how confident are you?
Yeah, I'm really confident. Like, obviously, I can't sit here and say, oh, it's better than our previous roster because we won the bloody World Championship with that team. But I absolutely love our lineup right now. I think we're going to go far. I said to Fresh in DMs as well, like, just give us a little bit of time. Let's play. We have a hard game tomorrow against BDS, so let's see how we fare there. That's a good test. And Blaz and Loida are just great additions to the team. Like, both are insane players. Like, Blaz is always going to keep the mood up. Like, I've never seen the guy in a bad mood once. Unlike other people, Alamo. But no, I'm only kidding. But yeah, like, I just having a lot of fun playing, and I think that's the key to success, right? Just enjoy it whilst you can.
Absolutely, Doki. Thank you very much, and congratulations on your win. You're probably not going to like the next thing I'm about to say, but we will see the best team in all of EU competing up next. BDS are taking on Wild.
Right.
See you soon.
All right.
Gia Sao Paulo, you have waited 5 long years for Siege to come back to Brazil. Now, the Ginásio do Ibirapuera is the home to the Hammer as we get set to write the next chapter in R6 esports history. This is the 6th Invitational 2024. Vamos fazer barulho! Ventures Pro versus W7M!
To tail can be told they continue to push, they continue to seek, and they charge into the finals of 6th Invitational 2024.
Grand final of the 6th Invitational 2024 starts right now. Face Clan, W7M, vamos fazer barulho!
And it's all falling apart for W7M once again, but it is happening for FaZe! One round away from cementing themselves as world champions. From 6-1 down. Can W7M respond? You wanted to find him, and he finds him! time is upon us. We get it. We get it. This is how legends are created. Is this the moment where we can crown a new champion, a new dynasty to be created? And yes, we will. Yes, we will. W7s! They cement themselves as one of the greatest of all time.
If we're coming for you, run. We don't stop for anything or anyone. We are the danger from above.
In combat, every second counts. And time waits for no one. Unless you can slow things down.
There's no hiding. Not for you. Not for me. Try not to disappoint me, soldier.
Welcome back to stage 2 of Blast R6 EUL. It is play day 1. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are in the world. In fact, let us know in the chat where you're watching from. Don't be too precise. That would be a little bit weird. Just give us like a country or whatever so we can maybe take a look, give you a shout out. My name's Ian alongside Fresh and Leah. We are 3 down, 1 to go, and it is Wild versus BDS. I'm looking forward to talking to you two about this one. But first, let's just tee you up. EU's juggernauts, BDS, arguably the best team in the world. And one of their biggest moments recently was the semi-final of the Manchester Major. Luckily, I was there for it. It's BDS! Star-studded, flexibility, confidence, raw gunpowder, aggression. BDS are on a mission to put themselves back on top of the Major for the first time since sweet Sweden.
Player left, he's stuck here on beepers in a 1 versus 3. For all the time the BDS had, for all the information, it's going to come close, it's going to come down to the wire. Stun goes in, Leaky Fact, he's found one, he's got to try and split these two apart. He picks the first, he's down to the SMG, there's 5 seconds left, it is Swungo, Beast! What a play for 1 versus 3 that never should have been! It sends BDS through into the semi-finals.
Yes, apologies. That was, of course, the quarterfinal. They did make it into the grand final after being successful in the semis as well. It was one hell of a run. They couldn't get the job done there. But since they've proven elsewhere, they're arguably Fresh, best team in the world.
Yeah, obviously they went to the next S-tier tournament. They went over to Riyadh into the Esports World Cup, and they went and won that. Didn't drop a single fixture throughout their time over at the Esports World Cup. Incredible. Final against Furia, 3-0. Like, these guys were running the show. There's something about Sonny Shaiko that just changes the landscape of these guys. But I would say, on form, these are the best team in the world right now.
I think it's nowhere. There's no team near them this year. You look at stage 1, they only dropped 1 map. You look at Manchester Major Grand Finals, and if it wasn't for Biscos and a crazy momentum, they should have won that event. And then they win EWC quite convincingly. Clearly, no other team is that confident right now and that dominant in Siege.
That's crazy, because we were talking for so long about just Brazilian dominance, right? And it's just switched gears right now with BDS on top.
Yeah, I think the thing is that if you look at the Brazilians, they've got a style of play. If you look at the Europeans and you look at BDS, I think they've got a very different style of play. It's a European style of play, but it's fast, it's aggressive, it's confident, and it's the best 5 players in their respective roles, whilst, and this is the big thing, whilst also every individual in that team is a match winner if they need to step up and be, and that's just what makes them so scary.
They have to win a major, though, if they want to prove that.
Of course they have to win a major, and they have to win SI. In this year, they need to win SI. Everybody is expecting them to win SI. So it's right now, like, playing this first matchup, especially against Wild, I mean, that's a given. Like, they need to beat them, like, for sure. But whatever we expect from them is much bigger than this. And it has to do with the roster itself. So many big names on that roster. And for the first time, we have a star playing team that works together, right? A team of star players that finally meshes well and can play any style of Siege.
And that's the funny thing about EWC as well.
Yeah.
Who was in the conversation for the MVP? It wasn't even Shaiko.
Yeah.
It was Leakifak or Users. They were the discussions that we were having.
Yeah, just a group of beasts in it. It's a bit of a juxtaposition, and I mean no disrespect at all to their opponents here, because they're coming here to do business, of course, as well. But Wild, you know, we talk about BDS and all of the expectation on them. Wild, the biggest unknown here, Fresh.
Yeah, they're a huge, huge unknown. I think if we look at the Wild roster, and they're going to be up on your screen right now, the 2 returning players of Dodo and Packball actually both left Wild in the summer. Packball went to Revan and went and played EWC quals in Mexico. Dodo went to go and play in Tier 2, went out on loan. They're now back, and they form the returning player base alongside Freck, Leighton and Croxon that all get the call up. And realistically, the one thing that I will say about this Wild roster is this is a brand new 5. This is a brand new team that's kind of pushed together these 5 players. And the reality is we can't look at the Wild of last stage or the Wild of last year as a basis for this team, because this is a brand new team. Leighton's going to be IGLing, so it's a brand new IGL as well, and we just don't know.
Leo, it's pretty wild, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. What I find wild, actually, is that it looks like a team mixed of all the best T2, T3 players they could find out of after the roster change, and all of the other teams, what was left, and then what could they build with it. It really looks like this, like a patchwork team. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to work. They have an interesting new pickup as an IGL. I'd like to see a lot from Leighton, actually. And I think Rock is very interesting as well. Like I pointed before, he's the first Spanish player in 4 years to play in Pro Siege. So I think a lot of things around this roster are more interesting maybe than the one before, but I just don't really know where the identity or playstyle is there.
And there is a template for that. There is a template for that. Go and look at ITB when they very first entered this scene. They didn't have a clue what was going on with the roster, with the team, and they meshed it together and they said, what works? Then let's change out one more bit. Then let's change out one more bit. And I think that might be what Wild are doing. They're giving the players a chance, the players they like the look of, the players that were available that Wild could get. You know, they were a bottom of the league team in stage 1.
Yeah.
They're not going to have the pull power of a G2, of a Fnatic. You know, they've got to look lower down that order. And now, if they can just start building, that's what I hope for them that is.
It's play day by play day for these guys, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's all about the expectations. You were saying like a team roster like Wild, for example.
Yeah.
You'd see that they have the least expectations out of all the teams here. But at the same time, is it really the end game for these guys, especially the up-and-comers, to stay in that roster if it's going to stay in the bottom league? Or is it maybe to show themselves in Tier 1 play and get picked up by better teams? So pressure is still them for these guys to perform, especially because for most of them, it's one of the first really big Tier 1 opportunity that they get.
When you do win big and you make big earnings in Siege, we see it a lot, especially at SIs and the like. You know that you then have a bit of a hangover. Maybe you're not as hungry. Maybe you're not as driven going into the next season. Is there a risk of that with BDS, or do you think they've still got so much to prove here where it matters in in these leagues.
You're shaking your head, and I'm thinking yes. So I'm going to let you go first, Leo. You're saying no.
No way. You look at these players, you look at their careers, you look at what they've achieved, and you look at SI. SI is in the way. Finally, they have a roster that can make it. They can win SI. Finally, they can get to their final crown. We're not speaking of a team that have been crowd world champions before. They want to do that. They were really close before, but they are the nearest that they could be with that roster, and for sure they have only that in mind. Only that.
Okay, so if I go
Give it to me, Fresh.
yes, there is a risk, and I'm saying yes, there's a risk.
Yeah.
This roster is they were the major finalists. They will be at SI by whether they do well this season or not.
Yeah.
They will be at SI, and that's the key one. Is there a risk they take their eye off the ball? Of course, there is that risk, and we have seen it. Will I think BDS do it? No, not a chance. They're such a new team together. The two new guys into it have not experienced this level of success. To be honest, even the three old guys, apart from winning one major, haven't experienced this really before.
Yeah.
So it will be on them, and they will be as hungry as ever.
Yeah,
I know they will be.
And Sweden was a long time ago.
Yep.
It feels like it, doesn't it? A lot's happened in Siege in Sweden. Let's take a look at picks and bans going into our final best of one of the day, Fresh.
Yeah, so we're going to see the picks and bans coming in here. Of course, we were hoping for a lair. I think that's the latest it's made it in any of the ban phases so far, but we don't end up seeing a lair. The thing with this map veto is we don't really know Wild's map preference because, like we said, it's pretty much a brand new team with a new IGL and a new way of playing. So we're going to see the map go to Nighthaven. Now, if we look at BDS on Nighthaven, they absolutely love that map. It's one of the highest preference maps, and they're going to start defense.
When you look at the statistics on BDS, you just wonder which map do you want to take them to, because they've been winning so much. I mean, the guys literally they've got a 10-map win streak on Bank. They've got a 5-map win streak on Oregon. They've got another 9-map win streak on Consulate. Like, you don't want to take them on any of these maps. So you go to Nighthaven. Actually, in the last 12 maps that they've played, they've only lost once, and it was Nighthaven, but it was against FaZe, not against Wild. And let me tell you, there's a big difference in rosters.
Yeah, Wild are much better, of course. No,
Of course, yeah.
I'm joking. Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Is there is no good map to play BDS on. So what we can take from this is actually Nighthaven is probably the most comfortable map for Wild in this moment of time, irrespective of that opponent. When they're looking to prepare that map veto between the team, they know there's that golfing class.
Yeah.
They know that there's likely a golfing map pool and map strategy and that type of thing. So it's just about get us on the best map we possibly can get on so we can give a best account of ourselves possible.
Well, I know that some of you in chat get a little bit annoyed when we carry on yapping, but it's just because we're waiting for that lobby to fill up so we can get you into the game. So we're going to do some more yapping with two of my other favorite yappers. We got Des and Ace here once again. Ace, I'm going to come to you first. BDS, best team in the world. What are you saying?
I think so at the minute. I think, obviously Furia are still very much up there, but BDS, you got to remember, it feels like it's a roster that was kind of in its infancy as well over the last 6 months or so. Now they're really starting to hit the ground. They're really solidifying that. They've had the, period of time off. They've had EWC. So, yeah, I think for me, BDS are absolutely lethal. I'd say this is David versus Goliath. I think that much is fair, but I'd honestly say that about probably 5 or 6 of BDS's matchups coming over EUL. They're just so good.
All right, well, Des, Ace, it is time for you to lead us through our final matchup of the day. We will see BDS, like we're hammering it. We are saying that these guys are the men to watch, but we've got a wild card in the mix. Can we see an unpredictable team cause a crazy upset here on Playday 1? Let's find out. Des and Ace, take us home, baby.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chambers. Yes, last game of the day. It feels like it's really flown by to me. I know we've only had 3 games so far, but I think after that last game especially, it just feels like things have rolled on ridiculously quick, and we're back to where we started with Nighthaven Labs. Only thing is, the teams are different.
I think it's because we're back, Des. I think because it just feels like we're so back. You know, we've had this big break.
So back.
We've had this big break. We come back in. We've got competitive Siege back. Tonight was always going to fly around. It's been an absolute joy. Not that it's not always, but, you know, I've been sat absolutely gasping for this day to come round. And it's been an absolute pleasure. We've had some bomb burner games, a blowout.
Are you sure that's not just your asthma and your old age, Tim?
Could be a bit of both. Could be that I've just walked upstairs too quick.
Throwing your hip out in the process.
Hey, I'm at the gym 6 times a week, I'll have you know.
And our 2 bans come through so far in the Monty and the Deimos. Deimos been a frequent ban so far today. Not at all surprised to see it taken away from Shaiko. He's going to pick that one up from time to time and put it to devastating use. The Monty, I think, more of a, I'd say a respect ban over towards the other side. Just get it off the board. Don't give him that chance as well. Valkyrie, unsurprisingly, a pretty popular ban today too. And Mira, maybe a little bit of a surprising one, Tim, but that to me says they don't want to give Wild any ability to dig in outside of sight and make it difficult for BDS to do their job. They want to go in, guns up, and win their fights. The big one being the Dekebi is still online. I think Wild are in for a bit of a bruising when they really start to see BDS get moving. However, we've all written Wild off essentially coming into this game. BDS, one of the top few teams that we've got in the world right now. No one's going to beat them. When all the chips are down and when no one expects anything from you is when you can hit the hardest. So don't write them off just yet. We'll see if any kind of craziness comes out. Wild start on the attacking side of things. BDS don't strike me as the kind of team to get up in your face like we saw G2 do against Fnatic on the previous map. But they will let you know they're inside that building when the time is right.
Look, I often say the same about traditional sports. Coming into a matchup, coming into any matchup involving BDS, we're going to sound silly sitting here saying, oh, yeah, this is, really close. BDS are just... they have been phenomenal, and that's not just based on reputation. Their results have shown that. Their performances have shown that. But what I would always say, and I say the same, I'm a big traditional sports fan as well, and I say the same for them. The fact is there's 2 teams in this server. They're going to come out, and it is always possible. Everything is possible for anybody to walk away with a win. Yes, you're going to look at it and say it's more likely for others than not. But Wild, as you said, may well just come in here, and they could well catch BDS on the bounce. They could have been prepping that even for weeks for this game. You don't know, and we'll see as it plays out.
We definitely will, but the Premier League started again recently, and I think this, I really hope Demo's watching as I say this. This game feels more like a United versus Liverpool, like we're going to find that everything is done and dusted before we've even got ourselves started. Anyway, let's get into this. Round 1 is underway, and already BDS, of course, you can see for the most part, are dug inside of sight here. Not looking to get too aggressive out towards Wild, but again, they'll let you know they're inside the building when the time really comes. So for the start part, at least, Wild will have a little bit of freedom. 2 really quick and early calls coming out on the Dekebi before any walls are opened up as well, Tim. 60 seconds in, there are none left on side. No walls have been opened up yet. That feels a little bit preemptive.
A little bit, yeah. I texted Demo earlier to make sure he was okay after the football. I won't tell you his exact response, but he was fuming. Put it that way. Never mind. Right, in we go then. As you say, Wild, just good work so far. A lot of droning going on, a lot of intel coming in, just clearing out a bit of utility. A bit of work's been done on the RT wall as well, but then you start to see the problem that you're up against. Breedy absolutely removing Croc from this one, takes him down for the opener, but Dodo manages to get the trade back out.
I love how he did a video for us earlier saying,
yeah, we saw your video, Dodo, don't you worry, we've got you covered.
I did what? Oh! Patbull just showing Shaiko how it's done. A little one tap round the corner and Shaiko was not ready for it. Gets absolutely deleted. In what timeline does Patbull do that to Shaiko? In what world does Solotop then also fall down to Dodo? Like I say, Tim, Giants might be hard to take on, but David's got a pretty strong slingshot ready to go.
I said it coming in. There are 2 teams in the server in every game, and anybody can win it. Wild right now are hitting shots. BDS are stunned. 1v4 becomes 1v3 as Freak gets taken down for Wild, but still Leakafak has got a mountain to climb, and he's got 3 HP to climb it with. He's out of breath. He's out of equipment. He's got a nitro in his hand, but that's about all he's got going for him. Out it goes, unsuccessfully, as it gets shot out before detonation. Diffuser goes down. This one is done. Move on, go next, because BDS, you've already lost round 1.
Oh, man, I'm never going to forget that Patbull shot onto Shaiko. That's just one of those that you don't easily forget. A 3v1, though, as you say, and Leaky Fat's got nothing to do. An absolute drubbing from Wild in round 1, coming in through Connector, making everything work. Just the tiniest slither of a Maverick opening onto the wall as well, and they get so much from it. And it started out strong. Breedy, he hit a pretty nasty shot of his own, but BDS reminded there is indeed a second team in this server. What a first round that was.
this is it. You know, we can't forget about that fact. We've got a roster that's, you know, really coming to absolutely beautiful, weren't it? Just so sweet. You know, we've got a roster in Wild that are coming together from, you know, kind of, as we've said, a little, kind of on the face of it looks a little bit all over the place, but Croc and Pat Bull were, I believe, at Revan for a very short time together, and then I think it was Croc and Leighton, I'll double check. You know, they were together as well previously Croc and Freak were on Team Secret Academy together. So, you know, a number of these players have, you know, played together at different points on different rosters. So it's not like, you know, completely sort of just thrown into the mix here. You know, these are players that do have a little bit of a history, and, well, there was the history of some amazing shots being hit by Wild there in round one. And if that continues, BDS, they're going to know that they're in for a game.
Here's to hoping. I think many expected walking into this to see a 7-1, a 7-2, one hell of a tough ride for Wild, but to start things off in that first round pretty convincingly, you know, give it to the new boys as well. Leighton and Dodo both hitting some pretty nasty shots as far as shots go. It's a really good start for them, but look at this aggression coming out here as well. It is Shaiko challenging off against Pat Bull. We're still 1-0 towards the ball so far, and he's going to back off, not wanting to say, you know what, I won't stretch my luck. I'll take the one, and I'll leave it at that for now.
Having the angle being held, Solotov, it's a little bit too easy. Wild have had a reasonably comfortable first round, but they need to be careful they don't let things get away from them. You can't be hopping in through windows without proper intel on the inside, and that's the only way that kill happens, because Solotov was stood pretty much in the open holding that angle. So if you're going in there, you're obviously not aware of his presence. Still 2 for BDS up on the top floor that need to be cleared out, because otherwise they're just going to collapse back down when there's 30 seconds left to go in this round, and you're going to get hit from behind. So lots of work for Wild to do.
18 points of damage taken through. A shot comes in at long range as well. Pat Bull's finding one for himself this time. It's Leaky Fat going down. It's clearly got a bit of a skull hunter on the go soon. Wants every single player of BDS before this game is done and dusted. Halfway into the round, a 3v3 already. So actually BDS not exactly coming out of this unscathed. Pretty ideal start, I'd say, all things considered.
It's looking good for them at the moment. Certainly not as bad as it could have been. 3 versus 3, 1 minute 20 left to go. Wild have, as I said, still got a bit of work to do here. They're not in a position, you know, to be able to think about putting a diffuser down or anything just yet. But BDS looking like they've got all 3 back to site now. So they're going to be playing the rest of this one, the remaining minute from down on there. But that means that Wild have got to work even quicker. There's no fights to be found upstairs. There's no more sort of advantage to be gained from being up there. That said, Eustace, he looks like he's just looking for a little bit of a creep up the stairs there, but at the top of Exor Scares, the gridlock is out, the track stingers are in position, and that's going to prevent that flank coming through.
There's some work done on the verticals here, but you can see from BDS, back in round 1 we said the same, they were quite dug in, didn't really want to play out around the map. It's not really their style to go hyper aggressive. Sure enough, they've all dug themselves way back in as the ceiling comes down above them from that round. But we're into the final 30 seconds, Tim, and looking back at our last game between Fnatic and G2, you can't afford to make many mistakes. Defenders only have to get it right once in this case, and Eustace has got it right twice. 2 kills for himself. Freak might get one back onto him, but he's in a 1 versus 2 with Shaiko and Brede both waiting. This one looks cooked. It's going to be one apiece.
Yeah, great double from Eustace there to really push BDS on towards the finish line. Brede manages to finishes it off. You know, again, that great side player that we've seen so many times. Brede is one of the most solid backline siege players that we've ever had. And, you know, he gets a kill there at the end just to close out the round, as he's done a million times before. And that levels things up 1-1. Wild, they now know that they're in a game as well.
Don't they just... Sort of replay on my side screen of that shot from the first round. Honestly, I could watch it over so many times.
Beautiful, weren't it?
Such an unreal shot. The thing is, I think he wasn't going in obviously expecting to take a gunfight at that point. It's a classic kind of swing round, take a shot, step back in, reposition, swing again, take another shot, for example. Didn't expect that Shaiko would still be stood where he's sitting just before his drone had died. Just absolute magic. That round, though, much more composed. And I think a lot more of what BDS were hoping for back in round 1 as well. Didn't need to go hyper-aggressive, like I said. We're happy to let Wild play into them. Here, though, they had a spot to fall away from. They did play out around the map a little bit and try and cause a little bit of bother, but had the ability to step back down towards the basement when required, only for users to pick up a very comfy 2k down there and shut down any big hope of a comeback for Wild in the round. What a piece, then. Not a bad start for either side. Now let's see who can really grab this game by the horns and run it towards the finish line.
We have the clash brought along by Breeder. We're back up to the top floor, so it's going to be a repeat of round 1 where Wild were able to actually get in, get the diffuser down and get that round 1. It was, you know, on the back of a couple of very nice kills along the way. They're going to be looking for more of the same, but they need a plan to deal with this clash. Looking across at the opposite side, they've got the Thatcher, EMPs, any that are left over from any breaching work that's going to be done. We'll be able to at least disable that electricity. They've got the Nomad, the air jabs potentially could be used if you can just position those in behind the clash, potentially knock her off her feet. Otherwise, could be a little bit tricky. So definitely something that WoW need to be paying attention to.
They do, for sure. And at this point is where I probably would have started to expect BDS to get a bit more mobile and start causing a bit more bother around the map. Even if it's just one player that you're sending out to try and be that headache inducer for them, just them to give something wild, something else to think about, because I think so far it's been relatively direct for them. They can focus on the site itself, knowing not too many players on the side of BDS. They're getting busy around the map, and just like that, you got Leakifat being a little bit of a bother on that first floor before working his way up Aqua as well. So they are trying to make sure that Wild aren't just getting a free pass in towards site here, that there are more points of consideration that have to come through in these rounds.
Connector wall is going to be getting open. It's not too bad in terms of time. 1 minute 15 inside of the round. So reasonable progress going on now as Wild start to just open up a few more angles that they're looking for. Largely the same push that they were looking for in round 1, getting themselves stacked up on that side, making it difficult to play an electrical connector in behind pillar. You know, looking to just squeeze BDS back out of sight effectively. They got a couple of kills along the way as they did that last time. But how about this? Shaiko, he's looking to get aggressive. He's pushing forward down to 60 HP though. Needs to be careful that he doesn't overextend here. BDS can use the clock a little bit more. They've still got that clash shield to play behind as well that's playing dividends at the minute. It's just holding that pillar position and preventing Wild from aggressing forward, and a big double comes in. Shaiko, Leakifat, the dynamic duo really setting BDS forward in round 3.
More of what was expected back in round 1, I feel here. The clash really more of an insurance choice than anything. But the kills that they didn't manage to find back in round 1 are certainly being found here. Dodo's down. Leighton's all alone against 4 players on the French side. It's looking again like this goose is a little bit cooked, and to make things even worse, well, it's Shaiko peeking out behind his teammate Shield. What more can you say than that? A comfortable round for BDS, and now have settled their nerves a little bit after that first round.
Yeah, definitely a different performance round 2 and 3 from BDS. Very, very comfortable there in round 3. They're going to lock down that top floor, so that's down in the basement. Top floor, both locked down. So we're going to see their third choice site now. That'll either be kitchen or it'll be storage. I'm not sure which one they will go for. I would hedge my bets on storage if I had to. But yeah, BDS really starting to look dangerous. You look at that first round, Wild did well, don't get me wrong, but it was a round built on a couple of really sweet shots that, you know, got them that man advantage and gave them the space to be able to push in. And you can't necessarily rely on that every single time. You know, it's going to be tough against this BDS team because their time to kill is it's in the fractions of seconds sometimes. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous when you're looking at any of these players.
Whew. All right, are BDS settled, or have Wild got some more damage to dish out? Yet to be shown. However, looking at the lineup here, if they are bringing along that blitz, and that's something at least to get up in the face and be a little bit disruptive to the side of BDS. No, obviously, clash on their side this time around. I mean, this might be a little bit frustrating to deal with. Also got the Ying on side. So a lot to throw if it comes around to the executes in. That's the thing. If you see a Ying on side for me, you can make use of it to clear out parts of the map, to chuck a Candela in towards the room and force any roamers that are in there back. It's great for that. But the main purpose why you see her brought along and why you've also got 2 smokes in her back pocket is that she's there for the execute. That's a lot of flashes. It's a lot of smokes coming on through. There is a Warden on the other side in the hands of Shaiko here, but that means keeping this Ying alive until the late round. Something that, for the most part, BDS has let them get away with, but I feel we're seeing them growing confidence here and playing further out and about around the map.
Shaiko out on the roam a little bit there as well. Always a dangerous prospect to deal with as he is on the Warden. He's just playing in and around, so that's semi-roam in and around site, having a little peek into warehouse, a little look out into lounge, just see if he can catch anybody on the way in. But for the time being, Wild are going to have to clear out the top floor. Last time it was Leakifat who was up there. I'm not sure who is going to be supporting him, but the pressure is going to mount as Wild now try to push on forward, but the damage being done by the barbed wire will just give away the presence. It's Breeder who's up there in support. Nitro goes out, finds its man, Croc taken down. Shaiko manages to use the explosives for a freebie along the way as well. And that's going to leave us now in a 4 versus 3, 4 versus 2, as one is picked up by Solotov on the Aqua Stairs. BDS cruising again.
So you say that, Babel's hitting some shots today. He's taking down a good few names on the BDS side. A couple for himself in the round, but the problem is, while he's been getting away with that, elsewhere, 3 members of his team have fallen. 2 to C4s. The Ying dying up on Aqua. We touched on how important she would be towards the execute at the end of this round, and it's simply not going to be a thing anymore. Only real plus side they've got is that Users has got no more smokes left in back pocket here. So they've got the ability to play a little more aggressively. They've still got the Blitz on side, for example, but this still means that you need to isolate players on the side of BDS. I don't think it's going to be very easy.
No, not at all.
Here we
User
are.
steps up and shows how difficult indeed it will be to isolate him as he takes the head off Packbull, leaving it all up to Leighton, who is just trying to get anything going on the catwalk there, just hops over, has no real choice but to go for the challenge, and Shaiko is there ready to pick up that kill. Shaiko is going very well so far today. He's another one of those players that I would put, you know, in the bracket was speaking about earlier, where, you know, player like Doku, once they start picking those kills up and the confidence starts flowing, then boy, are they a dangerous prospect. And Shaiko is definitely looking dangerous today.
Really hard to get the shutout indeed. I imagine this is going to be a tack timeout coming in for Wild here. And understandably so. They need to find a way to keep on building something into this round now. That's the 3 in a row that they've lost on the bounce, and pretty handedly is probably as far as I've described it for BDS as well. Yes, round 1, they got absolutely slapped. Yes, Patbull hit the shot of his career to delete Shaiko from the server. But since then, it's been hard to see them really finding a way into this game. It feels like BDS are in control, as many expect it to be the case. They've got to try and figure a way through here. I think even getting a second round would be great for them to then switch sides and see how they do in the second half. But 1 is not going to be enough, I'm afraid. Not against BDS.
No, definitely not. As you say, it's just the gulf is starting to just widen a little bit now. You can see BDS just, you know, hitting 2 Nitro kills in that round. Again, it's about positioning, it's about timing, it's about game sense and understanding. And they're just showing how on top of it they are. Shaiko, as I say, that confidence is just starting to roll now inside of this game. 5-1. How many times have we seen Shaiko go from 5-1 to 10-1, 11-1, to, you know, and just put up silly numbers without that? It starts looking casual for him, and it doesn't matter who he's against. And right now, it's certainly a dangerous prospect ahead of Wild.
Well, let's see how they can do in these next couple of rounds, and before we have that half-time switch. For BDS, it's been, again, a little bit of offside roaming, not too extravagant, I'd say, for the most part, not covering across the entire map. I don't expect we'll see someone on the upstairs, for example. In fact, 4 of their players currently hovering around on the ground floor. We are defending down in that basement. Hatches are reinforced off, so not too much of an aggressive amount of play, I imagine, going on the upstairs. You probably have 3 players drop down, play on side of site, and just a couple more up there to waste a bit of time and pick up a couple of drones early in the round.
Of course, the coach for Wild able to have a discussion with them. Nello, of course, former player. We've seen plenty of times in EUL. Has stepped over to be the coach. We saw the Nitro come in. Shaiko sends it out of the Maverick Hall. And we have Leighton trying to do everything he can. And it's not actually going to be the sniper rifle that does the job for him. He flips to his secondary and manages to find a return fire through the Maverick Hall. But the damage is done. BDS find 2. It's going to be Dodo. It's going to be Packbull gone down. Maverick is off the board. That's their hard breach options done with. This is going to be a tough round from here.
I'm just not... I'm never 100% sure on the game plan, because a lot of these rounds, Wild have brought the Maverick along, opened up a small slither of the wall, for example, and taken gunfights through it. Now, Shaiko whiffed a couple of shots there, didn't quite find his man, and aptly so got domed back in reverse as well to make sure that the response was there. But outside of that, they've found really nothing with it. I don't think they were hoping to catch BDS off guard entirely, and that would be their way into the winning this round. But as it stands, as you're seeing right now, they're being bullied around the map, Tim. 4 players left alive, and BDS barely challenged in that round. But with only the 1 hard breacher on side, your attention then surely turns towards the upstairs, but you've got 2 players playing on the downstairs, the Maverick and the Glaz, of course. So they're a little bit split in what they're trying to do here, and I don't think really basing their play around one particular tactic or strategy. And this is just letting BDS have the run of the map and do, realistically, whatever the hell they please.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect a team like BDS to be caught out, Bass. It's a classic sort of ranked combination. Maverick and Glaz, it's something that, and that's not to say that it doesn't have its place at pro play, of course it does, but it's common. You know, so as soon as lines start getting opened up in that wall, BDS are going to expect smokes, they're going to expect a Glaz on the other side of it, and what are they going to do? They're going to dump a nitrite through the wall, and it's going to do the job because Glaz has got to be pretty close to those Maverick lines to be able to use them. As it wasn't later on the Glaz got caught out, it was Packball on the Maverick. But yeah, it's just, again, it's a little bit telegraphed for me against a team like BDS. They're going to know what's coming, they're going to know to expect it, and they get the job done. So 4-1, well played BDS.
Alrighty. Now, what comes next then? Do we see the 5-1, which we're all anticipating, or do Wild manage to pull off something a little bit special? Find out as we're up on this top floor defense. Shields being brought along and drop down, ready for a reinforced defense off. Of course, with no mirror on side, you might see a little bit more aggressive defenses coming out, should we say, overall. Again, knowing that BDS like to play around site, a lot of that will be based around these shields and around utility, rather than sat and hiding away behind these mirror windows, because at least in my opinion, that's what they're looking to do against Wild. They're looking to bully them when they haven't got the mirror to be able to fall back on. Here we go with the start into this wall, though. Already the Maverick line across the bottom, no doubt on the back of the stairs as well. This side of the wall not being opened up here, and probably feeling then get away with this. Shaiko feeling a little bit cheeky here. Is he feeling himself? Might well find himself one. No, just about misses out on his man.
Liquefact just getting really aggressive here on the breach. He's not going to be moved out of IT. He's going to be staying put on that breach. He thought about going for the bandit trick, but unfortunately for him, the Selma was placed on the opposite side. But I tell you what, Wild, they've opened it. It's fine. It's a bit of phantom pressure, but BDS are not feeling the pressure. That's the problem right now, and Wild may well presume that there's nobody playing inside of IT after that, because, you know, why would there be? The breach has been opened up, but Liquefact, he's just sitting waiting.
And why not? Wild have got something opened up and they're not look to play it. Why not look to use it back against them and catch them off guard to try and push their way back through a little bit later on? Does mean that Wild have got to be pretty careful on their step forward here. Still got to face off against that clash that caused them so much bother last time round. Shaiko got 2 kills from playing around that shield of Brede. Just made it simply impossible for Wild to get anything back onto the other side. Half the round has gone through and Wild are starting to get control here, making good use of the Nomad air jabs. 2 deployed down so far, but they've still got to find themselves an entry here. Some ability to get moving in, and that last air jab taken out there, not deploying in time.
Yep, Shaiko able to just take a quick and easy shot at it and just allow himself to stay in there. They've got the Zofia this time of Wild in order to deal with the clash, so I like that adaptation. They've looked at what the problem was last time. They've recognised it. They've brought something as an alternative to deal with it. We see shots coming up through the floor. Liquefact down there. Nitro won't find anybody, but Shaiko does. He takes down Dodo. We can see the stun effect on this clash, but it's not going to force Brede to move. 2 kills come in. Users, Liquefact. Wild are keeping themselves in the fight, but it always feels like they're just swimming against the tide here, especially with that clash on side. They're going to try and put the diffuser down here, and Leighton, he might be able to stick this there.
What? How's it come down to the 1v1 and Free gets away with it? That's unbelievable. So much work being done from the IT door. And they were so scared of Brede as well as a clash should do. He was soaking up so much attention, but still managed to connect their shots and get the round close out. By hook or by crook, and maybe a little bit of luck, they've walked away with it, but BDS there, they'll be kicking themselves they couldn't convert that out at 5-1, but it gives some good breathing room over to the side of Wild there. 2 rounds on the bounce, Tim. You never know what's going to happen in this second half.
No, absolutely not. I mean, BDS, in the last 5-10 seconds that round, BDS felt a little bit rattled. Wild went in there and they managed to pin Brede back. They were using the Zofia gadgets well to, you know, prevent his movement and prevent him having too much of an impact. But Leighton just seized an opportunity to get the diffuser down, and it forces Brede to kind of drop the shield and go for the weapon, but they're in position to deal with that. And yeah, it just felt a little bit like, you know, I won't go so far as maybe panic setting for BDS, but it was certainly a bit of confusion going on, and Wild took full advantage of that. Great stuff from them.
All right, second half, the side swap. We get to see a whole new game begin. And BDS, I think the one thing we could describe their attacks as is methodical. They're not this hyper-fast team like Wolves that we saw earlier on. They're not maybe quite as I don't want to say they're not exciting because they are very exciting and very satisfying to watch, but it's not as explosive as you might see from other teams. Again, that does not mean a bad thing. If nothing else, it is a good thing because they are so composed when it comes to attacking. It can feel like you're fighting against 10 players at once. It can feel like they're coming out of the walls at the best of time because they can be so in sync with one another. And that's what Wild have got to face off against here. Of course, again, that mirror's been taken away. They don't have the ability to play safe behind that and see BDS coming. The first time they see them, it's probably the fair chance to say a gunfight is going to be ensuing around it. First bit of pressure comes in, a 1-for-1, a trade guaranteed as well. Freak does find Solotov, but Alikafak is right there ready to get the kill back for his team.
That's it. You just feel like, you know, Wild maybe need to get that opening kill and consolidate on it as well. Get it locked down and keep that man advantage rather than losing on the trade, especially. Powerful, though, picking up the blitz. Not the end of the world. Get rid of that shield. Just such a magnet for attention that's not going to be there. So difficult to deal with at times. But right now, BDS, a minute into the round, are really starting to clear out a lot of utility. But Leakify taking a lot of damage from, I think, inside a sight there. Just on that long angle, I think it was sort of baffled him for a moment there. He thought it might be lower warehouse, but ultimately no, it was Dodo just looking down this long angle, and he's looking for almost a replica of Packbull's shot from earlier.
So I'd say he might find it if he keeps on trying his luck. Leakifak, as you say, is down to 37. One more bullet would have been more than enough to see him finished off. Still trying to hold into this angle, but instead going to rotate his way out towards Aqua, but must surely know that there is a player sat round here waiting. Shotgun at the ready as well. Got to be really careful and respectful of that.
Yeah, especially on such low health, it's going to take a tickle from that shotgun to take Leakifak down. So it's going to be Breeder that takes over that position on the catwalk then to continue the push from warehouse. But 2 minutes gone here, and Wild are set up well, and they're holding back BDS here. BDS have tried a couple of different pressure points here. They've tried to aggress on in and take a little bit of sight, but it's just not happening right now. Packbull, he manages to find a nice kill. 4 versus 3 as Wild. They dig their heels in and say, we're not going to be moved here on the top floor.
This pistol might be enough to finish off the line if he steps too far back here. They've got to be really respectful of Packbull and the fact that he's dug in so deep. Brede might find one for himself, but yet again, they're just trying to slither their way up catwalks him. This and IT, I don't think are really enough to fully pull this off. And sure enough, Packbull's going to pick them apart as they get ever so close. Usus gets one back into a 2 versus 2. Which way this goes is anyone's guess.
BDS are just having to rely on gunfights at this point. As you said, they don't really have enough in terms of site control to think about getting a diffuser or really taking space. But the problem is that BDS are very well capable of relying on gunfights as Users goes in and brings it from a 2v2 to a 2v1. But Brede is down. Users goes for his last man, but Dodo, he stands tall and finds the kill in Electrical, closes it out.